The comfort zone is where dreams die. I'm pretty convinced of that, and I'll tell you why in this video. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Alice. I'm a communications coach, mindset. I talk about online education, personal development, self-improvement, communications, all of that. So I guess it falls in the category of personal development. And one of the most important things that I ask myself every day is, what is the meaning of life and purpose and why we're here, and how do you discover your purpose and how do you improve your skills? So it's like this endless quest to understand who you are. And I'm sure you've gone through that same process. That all doesn't happen when you're comfortable. And when you're comfortable, you default to what you already know and what you already do well. So if you're every day going to work at the same time or working on your lawn at the house and you're doing the same thing every day, you're comfortable, you have a procedure, a protocol, you have your set standard operating procedures in the house at work, and that's about it. Your life is steady, and there's nothing wrong with comfort, don't get me wrong. But it's very different than if you're constantly on the go and you're living in different places and different countries and doing different jobs and work and whatever, having different relationships. And that's completely uncomfortable. And you could actually be uncomfortable doing the same thing every day in your comfort zone. I'm not saying that, but I'm convinced that if you have a dream, it takes perseverance and motivation despite anything else. And I don't think that we can accomplish a dream without this hunger and grit. And it's this like calling, this urge that no matter what, you are going to go after your dreams. And it could also be a goal. It may not be a dream. A dream is a goal is a dream. I guess that's how I would define it. For those of you who may better understand this, is like your purpose in life. It's not something that you always find. It finds you. Most people would say this. It came when in times of tragedy, a car accident, a loved one died. Where you start questioning like, why are you here and what's the point? The danger zone is when you say, why am I here? Or what's the point? Because if you can't answer that question, that is when you're going to start being uncomfortable. In comfort, you have the stability and the health and the security, and that's great. But you don't have necessarily this urge. And if you do find comfort every day and then you're working on your dream in comfort, that's great. But at some point, you're going to get uncomfortable, whether it's you run out of resources or time, or your mindset's not right, or you lose motivation, your world turns upside down. When you complete these cycles of uncertainty or discomfort, you almost expect it and anticipate it, and you can quicker recover. You know, I wrote a book called You Screwed Up. It's on Amazon. And I interviewed 80 people, 80 chapters, 80 business lessons and screw-ups. So I talked about how company owners screwed up and what were the lessons learned. And I just recently completed an Audible version, so you can listen to it online in the Audible. And I have to thank Chris, my voiceover artist, for that. So thank you so much, Chris. And I remember all of the people that I interviewed were able to accomplish or close to accomplishing what they wanted, but it required immense discomfort. And I remember when I was building a company and I ran out of funds, I spent 7 months on a friend's couch. And my friend, I employed her son so I could pay, in order for me to pay wages, like I had to save money on rent. I like to pay people. I don't like to just not pay people. And my stepfather was a business owner in New York City, a manufacturer. I remember him telling me 1 month he made $1 million. He didn't take anything home because he had to pay for staff. It was crazy. And that's really important. You should pay people for their work. And for loyalty, you should pay more, because it's expensive to keep hiring people. And if they're good enough and loyal is gold. Honesty and loyalty is king. These things that really happen with comfort levels. And I may be wrong. I think you can still build your dreams, but it might take longer, because I think that to really understand how much you want that dream, you have to pursue it no matter what, because it's easy to pursue your dream when you're comfortable. Not so much when you're not. When you're tired, out of resources, then that's a test. Can you still pursue your dream? Even if there's a resource constraint, even if you're depressed, even if you're tired or sick. And I remember I was in Spain and I wanted to write this novel, and right now it's being edited. It's called Lemon Girl. And I got an ulcer in my intestine. It was pretty bad and I got sick. I didn't really speak good enough Spanish to go to the hospital, tell them I need a colonoscopy and endoscopy. And I was so sick, I couldn't work. I had a lot of cognitive fog. I could only really work 1 hour a day, which meant I could only write 1 hour a day, if that, and then work for money. Let's just say it was like a max hour and a half a day of attention span energy. One of my friends, he would go with me to the grocery store and carry like water bottles, bring me upstairs. I would just hang out on the couch and I had the laptop and I couldn't write much, but I had to make money. So my friend said, hey, why don't we start a line flipping business? So I did that. It did require more energy than I anticipated. I did close one deal in the first 4 months. I know nothing about real estate. I'm actually not working that business because I realized I was not that motivated about it. I'm more passionate about writing and education and personal development. So I was like on the couch and I realized like it's rough. I mean, get by, make it. Talk about that. Like I'm on the couch and really it's just to get up to go to the bathroom and to cook something, even just to cut a piece of lettuce. It's just everything seemed so hard, and it was like long stretches of time. When you're a couch potato, you got a lot of time. So I was doing this real estate business. A lot of it was automated, which was great, but then like I had to pay for software costs. It got expensive. So I was just like, what am I doing? I'm so uncomfortable. I have some success in the discomfort, but that's another thing you learn is time is precious and energy is limited. So is time. Although the allure was to make money, and I deviated from my dream of becoming a published author and continue to write my novels. This is before I started the YouTube channel. It was around June and I started to a year before, and then I started the channel last year. And I really was like, I cannot. What is my dream? Is it to do a land flipping business? No, I'm only doing it because I need money because I just paid $5,000 in medical expenses. So go back to being uncomfortable and go back to pursuing your dream. It will give you the next steps, and some weird way the universe will provide. Like I got a new client, I got a book ghostwriting deal. I was able to write for someone else, write their memoir. I worked on one memoir and then I got another job. So I'm currently working on a memoir now for a client that pays, but it's still discomfort, because it's a test to see how much do you want to dream? Gladys McGarry, she recently died last year, and she was a doctor she lived in Arizona. I met her. She was 103 when she died. And she said, you have to have purpose in life. And you have to also live, love, laugh, listen. And I think there's one more L principle I'm missing. But I recently went on Business Insider and I just read the news of her passing, and she was a big advocate in encouraging women to give birth at home in India, Afghanistan, all over the world, and also for men to be in the delivery room. So she was a big advocate of living medicine, a holistic approach to medicine. And she by no means was able to accomplish the dream unless she was uncomfortable. She had a divorce, her children died, and she had 2 cases of cancer in her 30s and 90s that she survived. And she was able to just have this big dream of educating people and empowering people to live well, to live a life that is worth living. So I hope this helps you kind of put perspective, what it takes to have a dream, how it's okay to be uncomfortable, even if you're in a comfort, to understand that there might be moments where you're not going to be comfortable, and not to give up on your dream. And people before you have done it and they're doing it. So when you are in doubt, go to those podcasts, read those books, laugh, live, listen, and remind yourself that it's all worth it in the end. So do the best that you can every day.